Hi everyone, welcome to another webinar by Fluid AI. We're really excited today to talk about one of the newest concepts in bank customer support, which is the introduction of voice AI agents. I think voice has been something that's sort of been the missing piece. A lot of work has been done in chatbots in the last decade, but when it came to voice, it was largely seen as a human thing. But now, kind of all of that is changing, right? I think with the newest iterations of voice AI,
Yeah.
we finally reached a level wherein you have the ability to have real life conversations.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. I think their ability to switch in real time, talk to folks, do a lot of actual actions, right? Like reset your password or, block your credit card or, do a bunch of things and give you information at the same time in the language and style that your brand or bank or region or culture has. I think that's been quite a phenomenal capability now.
And I think a lot of this is being powered by two things, right? One is AI agents, and the second is the ability of the LLMs itself, right? I think the conversation is now much more free flowing. You're not looking out for keywords from the customer.
Yes.
They can sort of talk normally. And the agents are connecting much more deeply to the banking systems. So you're not just getting your general FAQs of what time is the branch open at, you're actually getting work done on this.
Yes, no, absolutely. You're very right. Yeah, I think the you know the ability to now say that it can actually take a good percentage of your calls is actually true now. Using this technology.
And then what also is sort of happening in all of this is that there's been an evolution, right? You had banks which have tried this with IVR, and then that's been a frustrating experience because the amount of inquiries that you can sort of do on this is vast. Right?
Yep,
You
yep.
can, how many buttons and click throughs and numbers do you go down
Correct.
to get things done?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that and the wait times, right? Like staying, like last time, I had a particular issue with my bank, and then you're waiting on call for about 10 minutes, and then post those 10 minutes, it's kind of like this. Firstly, you go through a complicated IVR tree, and then you do the 10 minutes. So it's a very frustrating journey, and it's not intuitive for sure.
And then this whole era came of redirection, right? You redirect the customer.
Yeah.
They're calling you, but you say, "Oh, we have a chatbot," or they're calling you, but you have the mobile app to do that.
Yeah.
And that redirection has only worked that much percentage of the time, right? It's about 20-25%. Yes, there's a digitally savvy customer who's gone ahead and is doing everything on the app.
Yeah.
But there's still, across banks in our conversations, we're seeing call conversations go up. More calls are coming in rather than less.
Correct.
Why do you think that's happening?
Yeah, I think two things. One is a lot of the channels, they'll have challenge of like, oh, how do I authenticate myself? Then customers don't like changing their behavior. Uh, you know, I think that's like just a rule of thumb that everyone knows now, right? Like if you get used to using Google, you find it very hard to switch to ChatGPT. If you get used to using ChatGPT, you'll find it very hard to switch to using Perplexity or something else, right? And that's just human nature. I think that's the way we're designed as humans is we come across a familiar problem and we have a familiar solution. We prefer doing that. So I think that natural tendency is what people take and just adapt in their day to day.
Yeah, I think that's very true, right? There's that muscle memory of, oh, I have my bank's number stored. I'm just going to do this on call. I do not want to learn a new interface
Correct.
to sort of solve this problem.
Yeah.
So, and I think one of the coolest things with voice AI is that there's no new interface to learn, right? It's very natural, it's
Yep.
seamless.
Yep.
It's the same phone number, right? Because we're integrating with SIP.
Correct.
So it's not as if you have to get a new phone number for this.
Correct. Yeah, you barely change anything actually in your infra. So it's like hiring just another set of agents that connect your existing systems and take over.
So Abram, let's see this in action, right? Let's show some of our viewers the naturalness of this technology in action. I know you have some live demos for us today.
Yes.
Would love to see them, showcase the different dialects, the way this works, and how seamless and non-change oriented this is. Right?
Absolutely. So let me share my screen, Raghav, and I'm gonna open it up. All right. There we go. So, in the world we live in, creating an AI agent, like a voice agent, is quite an easy breeze. So, Shami, would you tell me which workflow we should start off? So we'll show you something that's ready for a bank, and then we'll create one on the fly to show you what how easy it is. Yeah. So here we have our workflow we've created using the Fluid AI platform. And we've kind of given it some instructions, right? Um, and I can change these, right? So I can make this like, okay, speak in the language that the customer is speaking in, and I can also say speak in the language the customer is asking you to speak in.
Right. This is real time, right? There's no coding happening out here. It's
Exactly.
just a simple prompt, and we are now having multilingual.
Correct, absolutely. And then you give it a bunch of instructions, right? Like what all it can do, any other rules that you wanted to follow. You connect it to your systems. So, we've connected to internet search, we've connected it to looking up the knowledge base, transferring amounts, blocking a card, account balance. So a bunch of tools that are available. And then all I do is hit save and I can call her up. So let's make a call.
And while we're showing it on the browser, this can be connected via SIP to a real telephone line.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a VoIP call that's running. Hello? Hello? Oh, but I know what we did wrong. Sorry. So I just need to change the mic settings on my laptop. Yeah. So it'll now use my laptop's microphone.
Got you. Yeah. Otherwise, I think it's taking.
Yeah. We tested with a little different browser. Hello?
Hello. Welcome to Fluid Bank. How can I assist you today? We offer various services
I wanted to block my credit card.
I can help you with that. Could you please provide your mother's maiden name for authentication?
Yeah, it's Alpana.
Thank you. Now, could you please provide the last 4 digits of your credit card?
It's 3604.
Would you like to use the following details to block your credit card? Mother's maiden name, Alpana. Last 4 digits of the credit card, 3604.
Yeah, that's correct.
Juste un instant, s'il vous plaît. Your credit card ending with 3604 has been successfully blocked. Would you like to explore other services, like our Emirates Skywards co-branded credit cards, or perhaps investment options?
No, I'm good for now. Thank you.
Amazing, right? I could see the human likeness where you were saying maybe the last 4 digits of my card, and the system could just react to that.
Absolutely.
And then the Indianized names, it just rolled off its tongue.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And the fact that you could interrupt it, it was fast in response. It called an API at the back. It kind of did all the layers that we needed it to.
And it even tried an upsell at the end, right?
Yes.
I think you were not interested.
Yeah, absolutely.
So support into sales, I think, is a big function that we're looking at.
And people might say, okay, this was pre-created, so how complicated it is, or how easy is it to create one from scratch? And that's why we'll show you it'll be more fun. So I'll say banking voice demo, and I'm going to create one completely from scratch. And if someone wants to put interesting ideas in the chat of what they want the AI to do, then that would be.
I think Salal has asked if you could change the language in the middle of a conversation.
Yeah. So let's do that. Let me add an agent. So I'll just call this voice agent, and I'm going to go ahead and give it some instructions. So if anyone has an interesting bank name, yeah, it's a cool idea for telcos too. Absolutely, Rohan. So thank you for mentioning that. So if I say you are a part of the Fluid Bank. If anyone has a better bank name, please put in the chat and I'll change it. Fluid Bank, and you are a fun agent that talks and interacts with the customer. Let's say if they ask for a time to come down to the branch, tell them they can come from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Fridays. Just riffing a bit. Obviously, a lot of this would be the tools, or the MCPs are just ways of integrating with your core banking systems and all.
And it could be APIs. Right?
Yeah, APIs, MCPs. So a lot of these would be like, okay, call this tool to check available slots. But just to keep it simple and a little more fun. And you can choose our AI model, and we'll show you two calls, one with different AI models at the back that are handling it, just to give you guys a perspective. One more instruction: speak in the language the user is speaking in or asking you to speak in. So this is to Salil's question on can we change language off the bat, right? So I just created her. And let's give her a spin. Hello.
Hey there. How can I help you today at Fluid Bank?
Hi. My English isn't very good. Can you speak in Hindi?
हाँ, बिल्कुल। मैं ज़रूर हिंदी में बात कर सकता हूँ। बताइए, मैं आपकी कैसे मदद कर सकता हूँ?
आपके मुझे ब्रांच में आना था, कितने बजे आ सकता हूँ मैं, और कौन से दिन को?
आप शुक्रवार को सुबह 10 बजे से शाम 7 बजे तक आ सकते हैं।
और आप पंजाबी में बात कर सकते हो?
हाँ जी, मैं बिल्कुल पंजाबी ਵਿੱਚ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਸਕਦਾ। ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸ਼ੁੱਕਰਵਾਰ ਨੂੰ ਸਵੇਰੇ 10 ਵਜੇ ਤੋਂ ਸ਼ਾਮ 7 ਵਜੇ ਤੱਕ ਬ੍ਰਾਂਚ ਆ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਹੋਰ ਕੋਈ ਮਦਦ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਹੈ?
और बंगाली आंदी है?
হ্যাঁ, আমি বাংলায় কথা বলতে পারি। বলুন, আমি আপনাকে কিভাবে সাহায্য করতে পারি?
मराठी में बात कर सकते हैं?
हो, मी मराठीमध्ये बोलू शकतो. सांगा, मी तुमची कशी मदत करू शकतो?
Or actually, I also have an international friend. So can we speak in Spanish? Do you know Spanish?
Sí, claro. Puedo hablar español. ¿En qué puedo ayudarte hoy?
And do you know French?
Oui, bien sûr. Je peux parler français. Aucun problème. Voulez-vous que nous parlions français maintenant?
Awesome. So as you saw, right, like
Literally took us on a world tour. Right?
yeah, absolutely, from France to Spain to different parts of India that the AI can talk with, and you can switch the models. So like we tried a particular model, but I could just go ahead, switch it, do a call again, and it would be a completely different, like in terms of the voice, the accents, the way it talks, a lot of it could change depending on the model I choose and its capabilities. But switching is just selecting an option, changing the model, you're good to go. So that's how fast and flexible your voice AIs of today can be, right? It can literally take you 30 seconds to set these up. If you're doing an API or you already have a set of APIs, I would say 10 minutes to have fully integrated with something at the back, like a Google Calendar or a CRM or a core banking. And suddenly you have this AI that's talking to your customers. You send, you connect your IVR system. So, you do a SIP forward to this AI system and you're kind of done.
Yeah, and I think Sunny is asking is how do voice AI agents manage context and escalations? I think escalations become quite important.
Yeah.
Like it's going to handle 80, 85, 90%.
Yeah.
For the 5, 10, how do we sort of manage escalation?
Absolutely. So we have
pass on that context to the human.
Correct. So we have this tool that's inbuilt in the platform called the Agent Connect tool. And then you can instruct the AI that, okay, if you don't have, if you can't answer the customer's questions, then trigger the Agent Connect tool and tell the customer transferring to an agent. The minute the Agent Connect tool fires, this tool actually does an auto hot transfer of the call to an available agent. Within the Connect tool, within the Agent Connect tool, we have a lot of other capabilities kind of built in, which means that the system can even give like a mini summarization of the call so far, and that'll flash up on the agent screen. So no matter what system you use, whether you use Cisco, Avaya, Genesys, or something totally different, it'll actually flash up on that particular screen with a summary of what's happened so far in the call, or what the customer's calling about. So the agent has full context.
Perfect. So it can become really interactive really quickly.
Correct. Yeah. Absolutely.
And it's so quick to set up. I know you put in the timings of the branch in the prompt, but it could literally be the entire website of the bank.
Yeah.
That can be absorbed in a single second.
Correct. Absolutely.
So it can be very quick and adaptable as well. Like a lot of people get concerned when it comes to chatbots is how do you change the content in them? It becomes a long journey.
Yeah.
But here we can connect it to the right data sources.
Yeah.
And if those data sources are updated, this is updated instantaneously.
Correct. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you can even like have it look up the internet in real time and actually answer questions for you if you want. So, the world is your oyster once you set these up, essentially. In fact, you want to try that? You could, we could have it just talk, in a fun way to customers. Just doing one quick thing.
Margarita has asked, what happens if the person is providing the wrong information? So, typically, we have different authentication mechanisms which the banks can set up. They can, it could be 3 errors and then they're locked out, or it could be 2 and then they're escalated to human instantaneously. So there are different methodologies which are pre-programmable in the system. In fact, if we see repeated mistries where the user is trying to authenticate but not getting through, it can even mark it to the fraud management system so that you have an understanding that maybe this user's account has been compromised, their information partially has been compromised. So your fraud management team can take that one up. So it's well integrated on that end as well.
So here I'm going to try a different model just for fun. And so you guys will see how the experience changes. And I'm going to say, okay, if the user asks about, current information or anything about current affairs, then use the Perplexity internet search tool for that. So that's it. Like you just add the tool and then you give it instructions, and you will now have a voice bot that can look up the internet in real time to answer questions. And you could have given it like, okay, look up only my website and do the same, right? So let's start a fresh interaction. Hello.
Hi there. How can I assist you today?
I wanted to know who won the Delhi election.
Please hold on for just a moment. Give me a moment to process that. The winner of the Delhi Legislative Assembly election was the Bharatiya Janata Party, BJP, who secured a significant victory. Would you like more details on this? Fluid Bank branches are open from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m.
So if you saw it, it went online, it looked up the data real time from Perplexity, got the answer. So I could have literally asked it any question. But now suddenly I have an AI integrated with, a bunch of cool tools. So suddenly, whether it's my website, my product, a specific consulting on a specific type of thought process, you can have that enabled in minutes, in your experience.
I think that's a very good question on regulation, especially in the Indian context. Is there anything that prevents us from using voice agents to carry? I think the audio went off. Not necessary, right? Because a lot of things are already being done by bots on WhatsApp, on chat, on the website.
Sorry, continue.
So the advantage that you have is that this is just another interface. It's an automated interface which has voice in it, but you run under the same regulatory framework which is allowed for mobile apps, which is allowed for chatbots, etc. So you literally can run it off the same rails. You don't have much regulatory risk. You have very strong compliance in terms of the audit trails that are possible. So it's a fairly secure system. So let me sort of, walk you through some of the key use cases that we are sort of seeing which banks are now using it for. It goes beyond obviously just support. There's an advantage in using it for things like collections, for things like we are seeing a lot of usage even in areas such as marketing and sales. So the advantage that you have is that because it's conversing in multiple global languages, you can go ahead and use it for many things. So general queries, this is the easiest low-hanging fruit, which are, what time is the branch open till, what's the SWIFT code, all of that, right? And this is a sizable number. 20 to 30% of the queries are still these general queries. Then obviously you go to the support flows, blocking cards, getting balances, getting a statement generated, all of that. And then the more innovative stuff, right? Inbound leads that are coming in, do you want to qualify them, right? Do you want to ensure that before a human gets on the call, does the person have the right salary requirements, the right age requirements? Outbound, you want to upsell to your existing customers. Can a voice bot just get the basics right and then escalate it to a human agent, saving your human team critical time in reaching out to a huge customer base? We are seeing a lot of work around information collection, right? You may want to check whether the customers' addresses have changed, whether there's something in the demographic information that they didn't submit at the time of opening the account that's become mandatory now. Can you get that information on a phone call? And finally, the collections piece, right? Reminding folks who are delinquent, collecting from them, getting a promise to pay from them. That's been a big part as well on the collection side in terms of just offering a voice-based experience, which can consistently follow up with large number of customers at scale. So literally, the first day they default, they can get calls, they can get a promise to pay done, and they can be reminded that they're behind. So that's what's happening out here. It's helping not just in reducing costs, but improving customer satisfaction. Typically, what we are seeing with customers is that when voice bots are answering, because they're so human-like, like Abhinav showed, customers are getting a good experience out of them. At the same time, the costs are reduced. So there's zero learning curve. I think Abhinav, you talked about that a lot, right? There's nothing that the customer needs to relearn, learn. And for customers who are non-digital, right, which is still a significant audience who are still going to call up your call lines, this is important. And the peaks, right? We all know the peaks, salary days, the 10th, the 7th, tax payment days. These are days when the bank's phone lines are jammed, customers have a lot of issues. This can seamlessly handle the peaks without the need for hiring additional staff. So one of the key things folks ask us is, how does this integrate? And that's a single line integration. It's a single click SIP integration. It's a global phone protocol, which allows people to integrate very quickly. And we keep the bank's existing phone number. We know that's a number that trust is built in, that a lot of customers remember, they've stored it in their phones. So we don't ask our banks ever to change that phone number. It links pretty seamlessly. Abra, would you like to talk a little bit about the architecture before we sort of get into, some of the other pieces?
Yeah. Let me share my screen again. So in terms of how these are structured, it's fairly straightforward, right? So the end customer is calling into your call center solution, right? Like we said, usual suspects, Avaya, Genesys, um, Cisco, to name a few. And then you have two options, right? Either you can take a percentage of your calls, send it over SIP to the Fluid AI SIP server, and then there's this is kind of can be deployed both on-prem or on cloud, and then this keeps talking to the AI system at the back, the GPT AI conversational system, and it can even talk to your core banking and everything. And once it's done, let's say it feels like forwarding the request, it can send it over to a human agent at any point in time. The other option is, if you don't want to do that, is like this one still involves some change, right? You need to configure your IVR to send some percentage to the SIP trunk. If you don't want to do that, right? If you don't even want to do that, the option two is the SIP agents. So these are like AI agents that join your call center platform. Like a regular human agents would have a soft phone, like the AI would just have like SIP agents that join in on the call center, and then they handle the calls that are, they also get allocated their own quota of calls, and then they handle them. So it's quite, straightforward in terms of how these systems kind of integrate and work.
Awesome. So, simple integration. And what are the real world results of some of this technology, right? I think a lot of folks will be interested to see how does this sort of get, sort of work in the real world. So let me sort of bring that up and show you some of the results we've achieved with some of our customer banks. This is for a large North American bank, 500-person call center, spending about $1 million every month. That's growing at 25%.
Screen share.
Spending about $1 million a month in terms of, just in terms of staff cost. Now that same 200-person team is managing 2x the support volume. Costs are down 60%. Each team member is 5x more productive, simply because most of the calls can get handled by these voice AI agents. They also took the same technology and implemented it on chat channels like email and chat. So it's not just that it's a voice only, but obviously voice is the most expensive and preferred platform way to put it. And what we've seen with this is the ability to sort of really look at it from a results perspective, right? What is the revenue kind of results most people are seeing with this? And that's been fantastic as well. $5 million worth of saving, 91% of the emails handled, 20 processes now all handled by voice AI overall. So an 8x return on the spend on the technology itself. And it can be done securely, right? I mean, I think a lot of people think that if it's AI, it's on the cloud, and especially voice AI. But the ability to launch this on-prem is also there, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So you can have this whole system running in your private data center as well. And that means compliance is easy, everything is fully secure, it works beautifully well, and you're not sending your data anywhere out. So it's actually very beautiful and almost unimaginable that in today's day and age we can actually have all of this in one box in your private setup, data center or private cloud. But it's possible, and it's yielding a lot of value just because of that security.
And while having on-prem, there are different hybrid and on-cloud models available as well. So you can say, okay, I want to use a cloud LLM, but I want to keep my data safe. So that's a popular model where the data is sort of resting on your cloud. You're using a cloud LLM. There are other models as well where it can be completely cloud-based. So that's maybe for your, just general queries, or where you're not dealing with very secure information. So all these different interfaces are possible when you go hosting. And now for the PCA resistance, right? It's a lot of people will think that voice AI will take a lot of time to go live, but that's not the case.
Yeah, that at least with certain firms like us, what we've seen is that the tech has become very advanced. We've done so many of these, and like you saw, right? We created the AI agent, hooked it up to the internet, set her up in less than a minute. So, connecting to a bank system, setting it up, things that we've done before, it's actually possible to get this, like, your prototype live in 30 days and in production live in 60 days. It's doable off the shelf. You don't need to, break the bank or really do a lot of complicated stuff to make it possible. And that's, the beauty of it, that it's fast impact, because as a stakeholder, you don't want to take up projects at this point in time wherein you're like, oh, okay, we'll see the impact in, 3 quarters from now, because the tech in 3 quarters from now will be very different.
Very true. Or maybe in 1 quarter
Yeah,
from now.
exactly.
GPT-5 coming up.
Correct.
So finally, I think we have a couple of questions before we wrap up. So let's ask, can the voice be more human?
Yeah, I think there are, multiple variants on the voice side. So great point there. So these are, it's more a matter of selection. So if you saw the first model we did was a little more human. The second one was slightly less. We have even more human variants. So there's like a lot of options. You can, like, we even have variants now that you can have it like do giggles and, serious and
stuff,
the emotion play. So there are many, many versions that we have. But yeah, there is, like, the tech keeps getting, like, the emotions keep getting better. Like, they get better at emoting, and I think it's only a matter of time before they sound like super, super, super human. And you don't need to change your infra. The beauty is that as newer models launch, as newer humanist capabilities launch, you just like we changed the model there, like a flick of a button, you have a more human-like option if it's available from the get-go.
Awesome. One question from Margarita is, can you change the LLM? Yes, right. The models are adaptable.
Correct.
You can hot swap. You can put in a Gemini, an OpenAI, a Llama if you're running on-prem. So all of these are sort of quite easily replaceable.
Yeah.
And I think we have one last question from Hassan. Waiving of fees for late payments on credit cards takes a few days, as human agents are not empowered. It typically gets handed off to a manager. How do we handle it in a voice AI?
Yeah, so there are 2 ways of looking at that problem, and it's a great problem that Hasid has kind of outlined, right? So one approach is to say that, let the call comes in, the AI, this request is made to the AI, and the AI is given the parameters that the manager would typically use, right? So the data and the parameters. So can it look up your credit score, your past payment history, and then based on certain rules or parameters that you want to set, it can kind of take a decision of how much credit to give, or how much extension or waiver to give on that fees. That's approach 1. Still needs a little more work, because you kind of need to, build that logic in, or the AI should have access to that relevant data to make that decision that the manager is making. Let's say you don't, right? Let's say you're in situation 2 where, getting all that in is too complicated. You could actually have the AI email or, WhatsApp, or send a Teams message to the manager, kind of asking him, and if obviously the manager comes back quickly, then on the same call it can kind of say it's done. Or if the manager is not responding, not available, right, it can email the manager and then add that person on CC, and then the manager can respond. Or it can create a ticket on your behalf and assign that ticket to the manager, so then whatever the bank system is, it takes over. But in essence, you've kind of you make the AI do the same thing that you would have a human agent do.
Easy. So yeah, I think it's a really powerful tech. I think banks are really looking at it in a big way. We have seen a couple of banks launch and go live quickly and sort of really take this live and get a lot of benefits out of it.
Yep.
Feel free, we have an enterprise community that our teams have put up. Feel free to join that. We keep sharing newer ideas and newer concepts out there, and we'd love to stay in touch. And yeah, thank you for joining us today.
Absolutely. And this tech is, the voice tech is something that, like we said, banks are a great use case, but even outside of banking, you can leverage it as well. So the world is your oyster, and we hope we showed you some cool things of what voice AI can do, and especially in banking, what it can do.
Awesome. Thank you all.
Thank you.